Now for a support system, they also have the hydrostatic skeleton, which is a water-filled body cavity, and it's controlled by muscles. They move by undulating, and some will actually secrete a slime trail, and they beat epidermal cilia to move along. And all of this, how they move, is correlated with their cephalization. As far as integument, that's how they respire, because they're thin enough that the gases diffuse directly across the moist outer surface. The epidermis is very soft and ciliated in the turbellaria. It could be covered with a cuticle or with external suckers or hooks, or both for connection to the host, like your Trematoda and Cestota. As far as digestion, it's an incomplete digestive system. Usually they just have a mouth, and the same pharyngeal opening takes in both food and expels their waste, like the cnidarians. The larger flatworms will have a more branched gut, so that food gets transported to all areas of the body, and they use muscular contraction to move along and ingest their food. Since they don't have a body cavity and they have to be flat, as I said, they respire by diffusion, so that's a reason why they have to be so flat. There's no true circulatory system or respiratory system, but they do have to have oxygen. And as I said, they get that through their from the outside. They have respire by diffusion coming in. They have a bilateral nervous system. They're the simplest animals that have this. That means it's on both sides. They're bilaterally symmetrical, so they have these little head ganglions that are kind of rudimentary brains on each side, and as I showed you a while ago, they've got the longitudinal nerve cords that go all the way down their body, and across, interconnecting those, are the transverse branches. It looks kind of like a ladder. They have development, some of them, in the head region of these light-sensitive organs called ocelli. Sometimes they'll have chemoreceptors or statocysts, which help with balance, or rheoreceptors, which sense water movement, but those organs are not going to necessarily be found on the head. They don't have an endocrine or exocrine system, but in a few of the longer flatworms, and if they have the branch gut, they can have one or more anuses. Excretion and osmoregulation is controlled by flame cells, and the flame cells you see down there in the picture are on the photonephridia, if they have them, and the fluid just filters through the folds in the flame cell. They have no immune system. Reproduction, they're hermaphrodites, so each individual produces eggs and sperm. And when two flatworms mate, they exchange sperm, so both of them become fertilized, but they don't usually fertilize their own eggs. Turbellarians, which are your planarians, they're freshwater and not parasitic. They reproduce asexually by transverse fission. They basically just rip their body apart by each end grips the substrate, and they tug and pull until they tear themselves in half. And then each half grows into two whole flatworms that are fully functioning. They are parasitic. They can be in size from almost microscopic to up to 20 meters long. The longest one ever recorded was a tapeworm that was over 90 feet long. The parasitic species will move between different habitats as the life cycle stages and hosts change. And they are important because they either infect our bodies or the bodies of our livestock. A few species are fatal to humans, and they can't be treated with modern medicines. Schistosomiasis is a disease that causes a lot of humans to suffer and to die. Over 200 million people are infected in the tropical countries. The larva is in a snail that's in the rice paddies, and it burrows into the skin, and it breaks into the bloodstream of the human and causes a lot of bleeding in the small intestine. So it's pretty horrific.